We're living in some crazy times right now. I mean, crazy. Think about it. Many of us are doing things that we typically do not do. One of the things I'm doing that I typically don't do is grow facial hair. And actually, grow an afro. I haven't grown an afro since Since college or high school? But the point is, we're in some times that are different. And one of the things that we find right now is that sales reps tend to have a little bit of limiting belief. They believe that they can't succeed, and they're actually hindering their own progress, their own success. And today I'm going to tell you how you can get past that block and to thrive even in uncertain circumstances like the times we live in right now. Check it out. Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we're going to talk about your limiting beliefs, the things that you have going on in your head. And especially right now, during the coronavirus, many of us have some beliefs, some ideas, some philosophies, or things that we've inherited from our boss or team members, or maybe well-meaning individuals who are family members and friends. And what we don't realize is that the things that they're telling us are not necessarily true, but we're accepting them as true statements. We're accepting them as the laws of nature, and we're following them, and they're not necessarily leading to our success. But I want to give you guys some ideas. I want to give you some things that's going to help you today, because it's definitely helped me. Especially when I started off as a new sales rep, a business development rep working for a software company in Boca Raton. One of the things that happened was I went into this company not recognizing how to sell to corporate. So I didn't know certain things that you weren't supposed to do. People would call that stuff beginner's luck because I started to see success in some of the things that I was working with, but I didn't know any different. It's not until I started to accept and started to believe what people were telling me, like you shouldn't do these things, you shouldn't make calls at this time of the day, that I started to see that my performance was declining because I was so wrapped up in other people's idea that I wasn't doing what was true to me. Let me give you a quick story about belief. I love this story. I heard it recently. I'm going through a training, and man, it's just phenomenal. You're going to hear more about that coming up pretty soon on some of our podcasts. But the story is about a gentleman named Cliff Young. You probably have heard about the story before, but the Cliff Young Shuffle is the concept. So Cliff Young, was a 61-year-old Australian farmer. Now here's the crazy thing about Cliff. Cliff won an amazing race. Let me tell you, it's a 600-mile race. 600 miles. I can't even calculate that, thinking about it in my head. Where do you go? 600 miles? 600 miles race. 600-mile race. And the way you typically do this race is that you jump in as a young individual, typically, because this is some work. You probably have ran a marathon before or two, or you probably have done some 5Ks. You probably have done some different types of race before. But the crazy part about this, the day Cliff showed up, he just heard about the race and wanted to do it. He wasn't an experienced runner. He didn't have the proper training. He didn't read the magazines. He didn't eat the proper diet. He didn't have the Nikes. He didn't have the cool shoes or the cool outfit. Dude showed up in some farm gear and a hat, like a baseball hat, and some boots. And I guess he didn't want to get wet that day. It was going to rain. So Cliff came to this race, and he started to just do it. People asked him, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? Cliff said, because I always wanted to run a race, and I figured now is a better time than any. 61 years old, right? So here's what happened during a race. 600 miles, right? Cliff didn't know the process when you run a race. In a race like this, an ultra marathon, you're supposed to go for 18 hours of running and then sleep for 6. 18 hours running, sleep for 6. The way Cliff did this, he started off doing his little run. They call it the Cliff Young Shuffle, and you probably can Google it. And I have a video back. Hopefully we can link back to a video in this episode here at the very end. You'll get a chance to see it. But the Cliff Young Shuffle, all he did was just shuffle himself as he ran. But the crazy part about this, while everyone stopped after 18 hours of running, since he was so far back on day one, Cliff just kept pounding through. He didn't know any different. So he ran for 5.5 days straight. Yet 5.5 days. He won this race, I think, by 10 to 12 hours ahead of the record. And here's the crazy part about it. 61 years old, and he wasn't tainted by the belief or by the ideas of the experts. Cliff did something that he felt was right. He acted according to what he believed was the proper way of doing things. And because he went on what he believed and his instinct and what he had in his head, he was able to see the result in the end. He wasn't tainted by the naysayers. He wasn't tainted by what people thought. The same idea with Roger Bannister. If Roger Bannister had listened to the leading medical expert at the time, he would never have broken the 4-minute mile. Because at the time, people said if you ran 4 minutes, if you ran a 4-minute mile, your heart's going to explode. This is impossible. But he proved them wrong. You cannot believe what everyone is telling you, because oftentimes what everyone is telling you is their own limiting idea. And you're probably thinking, well, Donald, do I need to believe everything that you say? Absolutely not. You need to make sure you sift through it and see if it's best for you. I had a coach tell me once, she said, Donald, you're going to get a lot of advice. You're going to get ideas. People are going to tell you stuff. Well-meaning people you care about. And what you need to do is pretend like you're in a grocery store. Take the advice, examine it, like a can of goods from the shelf. Take it down, examine it, see if it makes sense. If it does, go ahead and apply it to your life. Put it in your shopping cart. If not, you thank them, you appreciate their insights, and you put it back on a shelf. If I've not listened to other people before, sometimes they gave me good advice and I didn't apply it? Yeah. But did it end the world? No. However, 9 times out of 10, it's usually the simple fact that I did what I felt was right, and it usually turned out into a better or more effective situation. You can't go on what society's telling you is the only way of doing things. So let's bring this back to sales now. Let me show you this quote I heard from Oprah. Oprah said, "You don't become what you want, you get what you believe." And I want to define belief for you because this is important. It's an important concept. An acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Second definition, trust, faith, or confidence in someone or in something. So if you don't have belief in yourself, if you don't have trust or confidence in yourself or in someone, then you're just going to be pushed around by whatever anyone else say. Your belief system, the belief or the ideas that you have in your mind, the things that you live by, that's going to determine your success. I guarantee you that you're not going to succeed further than what you believe. So let's go back to sales and put an example. If I believe that I am a B-type sales rep, if I believe that I'm never going to hit 100% quota, I'm always going to hit 90. Do you think that I'm going to ever hit 100%? More than likely not. Maybe I'll get lucky every once in a while. Maybe I'll get close to it. But if I believe that I'm only capable of hitting 80 to 90% of my commission, then that's what I'm going to do, because my belief system is going to then apply to my action. The belief is, if think about it, I'm not going to get up early in the morning and study more materials, because I'm going to say in my body right now, in my mind, in my capability, in my physique, in everything that I have, it's only capable of producing 90% of commission. So I don't need to push myself any further. However, if I have a belief that I could get 100% or surpass my commission, I will start doing actions that are in line with that belief. So I might get up a little bit earlier. I might read more books. I might listen to more podcasts or watch more videos. I might go out and even pay for training because I want to improve. I want to get better. This is the idea that I want to instill in you, especially right now as you're going through the coronavirus. Let me tell you something. Many sales reps right now are telling themselves, I've heard this, I cannot get a hold of prospects, so I am not going to make any phone calls. Is that a true statement? And it's not. You can get a hold of people. I mean, look at many sales reps right now are still getting a hold of prospect. It may be a little bit more difficult. It may not be like you make a phone call and all of a sudden you're going to get somebody on the phone. I mean, when was that? What's the 1970s or 80s? Right now, it's a little bit more challenging. People are getting their phones routed to their cell phones. I mean, we live in 2020, for goodness sakes. You're telling me somebody can't have a phone transfer? They don't have IP phones? Of course they do. So the phone calls are getting transferred, getting routed to their cell phone. I called a guy the other day and it went to his cell phone. He wasn't available, but then he started to text me. He started to communicate with me via text. And that was great, because now I have his cell phone information and now we can continue this dialogue and hopefully we can continue growing this relationship, and maybe there's an opportunity for us to close something. The point I'm trying to get at here is that if I had believe that no one's going to answer their phone, if I believe that no one's going to respond, then I wouldn't do the things that came to this success. I would sit back on my hand and maybe watch The Tiger King or something on Netflix. I wouldn't work. So I need you to change that idea. The other idea I need you to change, even when we get out of this, is that you can't make phone calls or you can't get a hold of a prospect after a certain time. I remember when I was working as this young software sales rep, I was a business development rep in this company, and many of the sales leaders or the veterans that I look up to, they would finish their day like at 4:30, they would leave, or they would find ways to get out of work early or say they're going to do something and try to end their Friday early. But again, I didn't know any different. I knew just to make phone calls. You got to try to get a hold. My job was to call people, try to set appointments, and that's it. One of the best examples that happened was a Friday afternoon. It was like 4:30 when everyone was packing up and doing the end of the day shuffle. They were getting ready for TGIF, talking about what they're doing over the weekend. I was making phone calls, and I remember calling into this city, and turns out the IT director was still there because obviously many of his constituents, his colleagues, were leaving, so he was able to get stuff done, but he was still at work, and he was getting ready to finish up his day. But we had a conversation, it wasn't interrupted, and it turns out they were interested in the service that we had, and actually it was a product that we had at the time, and we were able to close a deal in a short period of time. It was about 3 months, and typically our process was anywhere from 18 months to, it could be up to 2 years. So the point with this story is that I didn't believe what my veteran sellers were telling me. I didn't believe that idea because I didn't know any different. I just acted according to what I felt was right. Your belief system will change. Your belief system will evolve. I would just encourage you not to have limitations on your belief. If you believe that you can never hit quota, you never will hit quota. If you believe that you will hit quota, you're going to start doing things. And I don't believe this is like magic. I believe what starts happening is that your brain is so powerful that it starts bringing things to your mind or bringing things to remembrance or acknowledging things. So let's say, for instance, if I believe that I'm going to hit quota, what will start happening is then I'm going to do the actions necessary. So I might start listening to podcasts or start reading more books that will teach me about hitting quota or being a better seller. I might start storing things that I learned from these books or these videos, and I would take these things and then maybe use them when they become applicable. Perhaps I learned that I need to build more value by asking more effective questions. Maybe I need to challenge my buyers. So because I was believing that I'm going to succeed and I listened to this podcast, I was able to have my brain consider that idea, I stored it, and then I used it on my next call. And I saw success. That's how it works. So anyways, I hope this makes sense. I hope this gives you some idea. I hope this gives you some comfort. I hope this gives you some reassurance. Change the way that you think. Don't limit your success. Listen, if Cliff Young, the Cliff Young Shuffle, if Cliff Young could do this, why not you? I mean, if I could get appointments or contact people during COVID, then why not you? I mean, if we were able to find success during challenging times and companies are still thriving, why not you and your organization? Again, it may be a little bit more challenging, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen. I challenge you to change your belief. Challenge you to push yourself. Like as always, I want you to succeed. I want you to thrive. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to have more meaningful conversations. I want you to be able to connect with people. I want you to be able to build stronger value. I want you to be able to close more deals. But naturally, I want to challenge you each and every single day, to go out and do big things. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.